Good morning.
Good morning.
So I have a subject that I have been working with for the last 12 years. Forgiveness. Do you think forgiveness is good? Do you think it's a spiritual principle? You know what I found out this time around? It's a law. I did not know that. And here it is in Marilyn Autry's book, right? And so I got to deepen my understanding of forgiveness. And that's primarily what I'll be talking about, although there are many other threads. So in her book, she tells us that there is a law. She tells us we must be rid of resentment, both past and present. Why? Because resentment, literally refeeling an event, causes us to be stuck at that vibratory level. Releasing resentments allows us to vibrate with the spirit of love. Forgiving ourselves and others is not only good, but frees us from anger, resentment, fear, and bondage to negative thoughts and actions. Forgiveness does not allow for an attitude of revenge or getting even with someone who wronged us. Dropping the need for revenge makes forgiveness possible. Accepting what happened as it happened, without wanting it to be different, without wishing it were different, makes forgiveness possible. This is actually the law of allowing. Did you know there was such a law? I did not. I was really happy to see it, and I'm going to read just a tiny bit of it to you. The law of allowing is the recognition of reality of that which is, as well as remaining free from judging it. Recognition of the reality of that which is, as well as remaining free from judging it as right or wrong. And it removes any emotional attachment to it. She says simply, but I don't think it's simple at all. You do not need to carry the unnecessary baggage of something that you do not want into your present stage of being. Activate the law of detachment. Activate the law of attraction as well as the law of choice. Whew, that's a lot of work, right? So the other thing that I really have been discovering, working with, learning about is called the law of one, which is non-duality. Any of you heard of that? Okay. It's also a law in here. Perfect. The law of one, the fact that the entire universe, you, me, nature, peace, war, health, illness, God, good, everything is one. That's actually quite challenging, I think. And it seems to make forgiveness unnecessary. However, I am human. As an evolving, growing soul, I'm aware of forgetting. I'm not always awake to oneness. I see separation. I act as though I am separate from others. At times I choose anger. At times I choose resentment, fear, worry. I choose to be hurt. I choose negative thinking. When the pain is great enough, I want relief, right? I don't want to live there. The practice of forgiveness offers me relief. How is one to forgive, and how can we practice forgiveness? The first requirement is the awareness that I'm off track. Usually this awareness comes from a painful emotion. I feel drawn down and in. I'm not open, uplifted, or enlightened. I feel drawn down. I harbor ill will toward the person who hurt me. I'm aware of this, and that I have the choice to do it differently, right? Second, I consciously review the event or situation. I acknowledge my part, my feelings. I take personal responsibility for my part, and I own my own feelings. I don't allow the other person to define me. Third, I decide that I want to forgive. Here I must be cognizant of my propensity for premature forgiveness. I want the pain to end now, please, thank you. Right? It doesn't always work that way. At least that's what I've found. I may need to grieve a loss first. I may need to forgive myself first before I can forgive the other person. If I feel that I've done something wrong, I may try amends. If my amends are rejected, I'm left with the wrong done with me, the rejection by them, and whatever other feelings from the situation. Meditation, self-reflection, and affirmations help to clear my inner landscape. These are the actions that propel deep and honest forgiveness. Sometimes there are layers to forgiveness of self and other that must be navigated to accomplish the end result. What is the end result? Freedom, yes, but love of self and self-compassion, love of other, compassion for others. I may not be able to love the other person, but I can stop sending negative energy to them about what happened. I can forgive them and let them go without ill will. I think that's easy to say and really hard to do. And I'm going to, if I can find, here we go. I'm going to discuss the situation with my sister, which is what has really given me the depth of understanding and experience with this. I guess it was now 11 years ago, my sister eloped and didn't tell me. She called me on the day of her elopement, and I said something unkind. I didn't even know that I thought what I said. I was in a moment of unconsciousness, and I believe I was also in a moment of shock that the woman who I had been a sister with for over 60 years had told me she was going to get married again. And I said something unkind. If you want to know, you can ask me after the service. I may say it by mistake, but hey, it's not important. I mean, it's just my issue, right? And I tried to make amends for a couple of years. I wrote letters and cards, I called her, I texted her, I talked to other family members so that they would talk to her. Nothing, no contact. She would not, she just wouldn't open the door. And so every time I thought of her, I felt a pain in my heart because I loved her. She was my sister. I thought we had a great relationship. And it just hurt so much. I couldn't accept her rejection. I couldn't accept it. I kept trying to knock on the door. Come on, open up, I'm here. And when it didn't work, I started practicing forgiveness. And at first I tried to practice forgiveness of her. Like, how could you do this to me? Well, I'm going to forgive you anyway. Tried to understand where she came from. Yes, it was a horrible, unkind thing I said. I didn't really mean it. It was really more a statement about me than you. And, excuse me, and it didn't work. And then I saw her at a family wedding, and she ignored me. I saw her at another family wedding, and she treated me in a derogatory manner and acted like I was a piece of trash. And I was like, well, I really have to get through this. I really have to give up, right? I didn't give up easily. So it was really, really hard for me. I had to forgive myself for making a mistake. I had to have compassion for myself as well as my sister. I'll probably never know all the issues in her life that caused her to behave in this way. When I apply the understandings embedded in natural law, now these are the laws that I discovered as I was studying this more. The law of allowing, the law of harmony, the law of one, the law of forgiveness, the law of love, the law of spiritual approach, and the law of vibration. If I apply all that to the best of my ability, right, then I am taking responsibility for my part in the causation cycle, cause and effect. This is the affirmation I use, which I credit to Catherine Ponder, if any of you know her. And it goes like this. I fully and freely release you. I loose you and let you go. You are free and I am free. You move on to your highest good, and so do I, and so it is. Now, I am the kind of person who repeats things like mantras, so I would say that in meditation often, over and over, and really try and feel the release. And then something else would happen, and I would pull it back in again. But I keep working on it. The gift of compassion allows us to address the biggest thief there is, and that thief that robs us of our sanity and our truth, and that is the belief that we are separated from infinite intelligence and from others. The law of one gives us the knowing that compassion is here and everywhere. Grace is omnipresent. Isn't that a wonderful thought? Grace is omnipresent. All I have to do is be open to it. I think that's a challenge. But I'm happy to know it, because anytime I can drop the negativity, ta-da, there I am. Right? There we all are. All I need is to be open to receive grace and to receive and allow compassion, to know that we are one and all is well. Ernest Holmes said, there is nothing to be healed, only compassion to be revealed. Galen, via Andrew Jackson Davis, said, under all circumstances, keep an even mind. I subscribe to that view, and I work on it. Richard Rohr, a Jesuit priest living in New Mexico, says, toward the end of life, a universal forgiveness of everything for being what it is becomes the only way we can see and understand reality and finally live at peace. Marilyn Autry says the law of peace identifies that calmness, serenity, and tranquility must come from within. This means to me that I must forgive myself first. Clean up my side of the street by letting go of negative imaginings, judgments of others and of self, and let go. Letting go is the hardest thing I do these days. I get a lot of practice. There is the long-term and perhaps permanent situation with my sister. I have other family members who do not behave in the way that I wish they could. I do not choose to carry their burdens for them. I have to let go of how they choose to behave, think, and feel. I develop boundaries and use them and detach with love when I'm able. And this is another point of growth for me, not to rescue. I keep trying not to rescue other people. It's hard, because I'm a social worker, right? We step in and we rescue. My psychological and spiritual studies brought me to the understanding that there is a process to forgiveness. For me, it is not once and done. It is not to pray for all good for them for 2 weeks and then feel released. It is not simply repeating my mantra. I need to feel my self-forgiveness to my soul. I need to forgive them completely. Let go of my side of the rope. Drop it. Just drop it. I need to accept what happened without reservation, without wishing it was different. I need to let them go for real, now and always. I need to allow myself to grieve their loss, and I need to do this again and again. This is my lesson. I do this again and again, right? Because for some reason I keep picking it up and playing with it in my mind. It's like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. Let's stop. I found a reading online that I'd like to share with you. This is from Morgan Richard Olivier. All this time, I thought the heaviness and discomfort I had toward you was unforgiveness. The type of heaviness that makes you think about a person or a situation and completely get immersed in the offense or disdain as if it just happened. As time passed and my healed eyes opened, I realized it wasn't unforgiveness or merely my inability to forget. It was grief. I was mourning the person I thought you were, the bond I thought we had, and the future I pictured you in. I was grieving because I was accepting that your seasons in my life had expired. Here is yet another excerpt from a book I've written, but not yet published. In 2023, after almost 10 years of separation from my sister, I attempted to make amends again. This was at the behest of my brother. I called her hoping to have a real conversation, even though I felt nervous about the possibility. When she texted me back, I felt some relief. Texting is safer. Ha ha. No, it's not. I found out that she had never opened my amends letter to her, that she texted me that's because she was done with me. Neither would she accept current amends. She texted me that she didn't like me, that I was not part of her tribe. The stab to my heart was not as painful as years prior when I had seen her in person and she refused to connect with me. The pain in my heart felt muted compared to the family wedding where she treated me derogatorily. She ended her text string with her declarations, and it was obvious to me there was nothing I could do to change the situation or her mind. I took a deep breath and accepted her rejection. I felt free for about 12 hours. Then I allowed grief to enter. I had made mistakes with my sister for sure. In my inventory processes, I took personal responsibility for my past actions. It would do no good to wonder if she even knew what she had done to hurt me. I had to let go. And I've had one heck of a time trying to forgive and let go. Memories of her still filter through my mind at times, especially during holidays. I went through a period of depression and self-pity. I went through a period of anxiety and self-blame. I took her inventory in mine. Realizations came and pain lessened slowly, but there is still no closure. Holidays always bring my family of origin to mind. I remember mostly the good parts of our years together. I no longer feel the urge to reach out to her. I remind myself that what we used to have, what I consider to be a great relationship, and I remind myself that I am fortunate to have the years with her that I did. Recently, I viewed some artwork she posted on Facebook. I actually felt pleased to see her work. She's a great artist. I remember she had talent as a child that her work life did not allow her to pursue. I'm happy for her. I actually had a positive feeling about my sister. This kind of amazed me. Maybe the forgiveness is working. I love to write that I am done with this process of forgiveness. I am not. I grieve the loss of my sister even when I don't want to, even when I too am done with her. She was my closest family member whom I loved and adored. Also, I depended on her way too much. Before our sisterhood started dissolving, I did not try to make other friends. I didn't need them. I had her. That was my fault and my problem. It has been a ridiculously painful process. Letting go is a skill I am still developing. In writing this sermon, I came to some awareness that my concept of family needs to change. I can no longer hold on to the concept that family stays the same and means lifelong connection. Even though I wish it did, it does not. Family is what you make it. Family are those who can be on the same vibratory plane of allowing, forgiveness, love, harmony, and oneness. Maybe family is an evolutionary process. I'll let you know if and when I'm ever finished with this lesson. But I was also thinking about a former yoga teacher guru that I had who taught Sanatan Dharma. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of it. It's a Hindu philosophy. And the philosophy is basically the whole world is one family. I think that's challenging. The whole world. Everybody. People you like, you don't like, people who are in your blood family, people who aren't. Right? I think that that is the challenge of oneness. How do I expand my heart so much that I can encompass everyone? That doesn't mean I have to be in direct relationship with them, but I can have boundaries, right? But I can stay open to who's in front of me now. And that, to me, is the beauty of being successful in the law of forgiveness, right? Is that I forgive. I put my side of the rope down, and I am still open and receptive to all good that there is for me. And I offer that to you. I hope you heard something that you can use.